Everyone, this is Lovely Donald.
And this is Q Richardson.
And we are here for Hot Totties Talk. It's Saturday, y'all. And we have a subject for you. Every week, as you know, we do a topic on Fridays and then we do the video on Saturdays.
There we go. So today, or this week's topic, hot topic, was codependent people. The questions were, have you ever been in a relationship where you were the codependent person or with someone who was codependent on you? And what was the dynamic of that relationship?
Very interesting.
So, Lovely, do you want to go or?
Well, I guess we could both chime in back and forth.
Cool.
Unless you've got a heating, and you want to start, I can start. So either way.
So codependent people, I'm not gonna lie, I've been amongst that group, but then I've also been the person who's been with someone who was codependent. So I've been the codependent, and then I've been with someone who was codependent, and it's always an eye-opening experience depending on what side of the spectrum you're on. Like, that's or what side of the pendulum you're on, because it can be
difficult on both sides.
Yeah,
it can be very difficult on both sides.
Very much so. So, let's see. I've been in a codependent relationship where I was the codependent person, and I think I became that codependent person because I was going through a time where I really needed support, and I needed people to hold on to. But the downfall to that was I became an anchor for the people that I needed support from and hold on to. And that's the downfall to being the codependent person, is that you become the anchor and you start to drag people down along the way.
Or you start being manipulative. I'm going to chime in a little bit because with me, I've played both sides. I think we all have been dependent on someone else, codependent, and have been with people that are codependent.
Right.
I have been codependent in the sense of that I got so wrapped up in the person I was with that I couldn't imagine living without them. I wanted to just live, breathe them, like everything about them I was so wrapped up in them that it almost scared me to be away from them. As well as I've been in relationships that have done that to me, where I'm a very independent woman, and I'm a very go-getter kind of woman. I'm always on the go. I'm always doing something, and I need someone that's secure and strong within themselves and within our relationship. So I have been with people that couldn't be without me. Like, if I didn't return a text message right away, it was all of a sudden, oh my God, like you're on your deathbed and oh, I can't live without you, kind of a thing. And I have been that person that gets so wrapped up with the individual that I get impatient if they didn't text me because I didn't understand why they weren't texting me right away. Took a while for me to understand the whole concept of, being busy and you're not able to get right back.
Right.
A lot of femme women, and I'm just going by experience personally as well as dealing with a lot of femme women, we get impatient with our companions. We want them to text us back right away.
That looks really codependent.
And it does. It looks very, very codependent, and that is my point, is that sometimes we're codependent not realizing there's different forms of being codependent. Excuse me. Some people, their codependence is you have to take care of me, and if you don't take care of me, I don't know how I'm going to live without you taking care of me.
Right.
Other people, it's about attention. Just like high maintenance. Some of us are more high maintenance as far as like fashion and things we need to do, as far as like feminine women. But don't get it twisted. I know a lot of you boys that are very high maintenance. You have to have everything just a certain way. It has to look, especially with your shoes, okay, and your hats. things like that, you know. And so it all depends. There's good, bad, ugly of being dependent, you know, giving and taking.
And the codependent end.
Yes.
I think...
On the codependent
Right.
is what I mean. Being the dependent, the over-dependent person.
Very much so. I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I've had certain situations where, like, my partner needed validation for everything.
Yes.
Or even myself, I needed validation for just about everything. And that, I'm going to get into a specific little point here. I think when you're to that point, I think there's more of a mental health thing going on at that point. And I personally think in experience in both, like I said, both sides of the pendulum, I don't think if you're going through an issue, if you're going through mental health issues at the time, don't try to get into relationships.
Okay.
I just don't.
And I want to chime in
Yeah.
because there's different forms of mental illness, first of all, and you can be mentally unstable, and you should not quickly get into relationships too fast. And those kind of codependent relationships are not healthy. Okay, but you can have within yourself have your own imbalance of security of if your companion, if the person you're with wants to be with you because of maybe past relationships. Like, for instance, me. I was battling for a while, and from time to time I still kind of battle with it. I had been in a relationship and, you know, that broke my spirit. This person never told me I was beautiful. Person, you know, broke my spirit in a lot of ways. And so I felt insecure. I felt like, well, am I beautiful? Would anybody else want me? So I started to become codependent in the sense of I needed to be reassured all the time. Not because of a mental disorder per se, but more of my own self-esteem had been broken down, that I needed that reassurance. So that was a codependent relationship that wasn't necessarily good. But I think what you're talking more about, Q, is when you're mentally unstable.
I think mental in many ways. I think we as people miss the fact that we I don't think we take enough time to like be with ourselves, to date ourselves, and validate ourselves. I mean, if we validated ourselves, why do we need validation from anyone else? That's my thing. I say that strongly, that if you're going through some time of a mental, and it's not necessarily like a bad thing, like, but if you're going through something that where you feel that you need someone else's validation or someone else,
I see what you're
I
saying.
think that you need to step back, re-examine, not get into relationships, and start a relationship with yourself. I mean, how can we attract people who are going to love us like we do if we don't? So
that's true.
That's the point that I'm trying to make. I mean,
that's a very good point.
That is, to me, is the biggest leading thing into codependency is when you haven't yet validated yourself.
True.
When you do that, nothing else matters.
That's true. That's true. And that's a day-to-day thing, because there are going to be times where we're not, like I said, that, you know, it's not necessarily a disorder or anything like that. And you might have those good, bad days based on past relationships or yourself. You know, like I had very high self-esteem, but you couldn't tell me I wasn't beautiful. But because there were a lot of things that changed in my life, I had lost quite a bit of weight. You know, I was in a disruptive relationship. Over time, my self-esteem started to break down, and I needed a refreshment. I didn't need to be in a relationship at that time. So I hear what you're saying. But I want you guys to be reassured that just because there might be times you're in a relationship with someone and you're having difficulties within yourself of being reassured again, that's not saying, we're not saying, okay, go break up because you're not in a place you need to be in a relationship. No, it's that if you're already there, don't start an intimate, like the old joke with lesbians are, on the second date, we get U-Haul trucks. Okay, that could be very codependent. If you're not helping with yourself and reassuring yourself at that point, being on the second date, moving in with each other is not going to help anything. But my point is that there might be some of us that we're in a relationship and we're just kind of dating the person. We've been seeing them for a while, and we kind of start getting unbalanced within ourselves of, wanting to be reassured by them. That's not necessarily saying, okay, I don't want to be with you because I need to be reassured. What we're saying is that there are times you're going to have those hiccups. But if you continue to be in a space where you need validation from someone else, it might not be smart to try to get so deeply involved with someone that you build into a relationship and have that U-Haul on that second or third date.
And even then, if you are with someone and, it may have been going very strong, but then you're starting to feel little inklings of it not being as strong or a fade, then I would examine that too. Always follow your instinct. Always follow your instinct on something. If you feel something, it may not always pan out or come as clear as it should or when you wanted to at that time, but don't ever not pay attention to that inside you